Hi Ajay. Ajay, you are on mute.
Yes, sorry, sorry. Good evening. Yes, yes.
Good evening, Ajay. How are you?
Fine, fine. Good, good, good. We'll wait for a few minutes.
Yeah, okay.
You can be ready with the slide. I will introduce it. Then we'll start. It's 7:50 only, no?
Ajay,
Yes, Sridhar. Yes,
Ajay,
yes.
hearing me?
Hello? Yes, yes, I can hear you. Little bit echo is there.
Okay. How can I share my screen?
You have to put the top will be the share and video is there, no? In the button is there, no? This is the button like you can share the
Yeah,
video
yeah, okay.
here. Beside the mute button is there, no? Beside the
Yeah,
speaker
yeah,
button,
I'm checking
we
now.
have. Uh, you can share the screen. We'll wait for 5 minutes, Sridhar. Let people join. Shall we start, Sridhar? Hello? Can you hear? Can you hear me? Sridhar, you're there? Yes. Can you share your screen, Sridhar, before introducing us? Will you? Okay. Good evening, all, and it's welcome to day two of Regional Scrum Gathering Hyderabad 2022. So it's pleasure to welcome Sridhar Kannan Thangarajan, so who will be speaking about Agile banking. So just want to give an intro about him. Like he's a coach and he works with Agile teams and organization as Agile process definition and implementation. He works with Chartered Account, Standard Chartered Bank as associate vice president and part of transformation team. And he has an Agile coach to foster more effective and transparent and cohesive teams to enable better outcomes, solutions, and product services for banking customers. So he helps in digital transformation in banking leads to agile transformation. So you will talk about more, and then agile is the pillar with the digital product. So over to you, Sridhar. You can start. You can talk. You can start the presentation. One second, Sridhar will be joining.
Shweta, could you please unmute? We are unable to hear you.
Sridhar, can you hear us? Can you start?
Ajay,
Sridhar,
can
can
you
you
hear
start?
me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you. Now we can go ahead. Please, it's already 10 minutes late. Yes, I've already introduced about you. Just go ahead, please share the screen and
Ajay, can you hear me now? Yeah, okay.
now we can start. Please go ahead. So, I've introduced about you. Just go ahead. Can share and
Sorry, guys. Sorry for the delay. I think there are some technical glitches. Yeah. My name is Sridhar. I'm a part of transformation team in Standard Chartered. Today we are talking about the agile transformation in banking. So when we talk about the agile, it's a the people are asking about why we are talking about the buzzwords and challenges. What is buzzword? Can you list out the buzzwords in agile? Can anyone can list out the buzzwords in agile? Maybe I'll share. Agile itself is a buzzword. All the terminologies belonging to Agile itself is buzzwords. Whatever the framework, the tools, the metrics, and all aspects, all the terminologies related to Agile is buzzword for the entire world. Agile, Scrum or Kanban or BDD, TDD or sprint retrospective or sprint planning, whatever we talk about, all these are buzzwords for the teams. Each and every buzzword has its challenges. When we talk about the Scrum, it has its challenges. When we talk about the Kanban, it has its challenges. When we are implementing the entire framework to this world and to the organization, each and every organization has its own set of challenges that too very difficult in banking. So when a bank is thinking of implementing the agile, how they are transforming, what is the current state, and how they are going to transform to the next level, that is after implementing the agile transformation. So today we are going to talk about five topics. One is the agile in banking. Second thing, this is challenges. And third one, agile bank DNA, agile building blocks, agile transformation roadmap. So all these are the five topics we are going to cover today. And agile in banking, whenever we talk about agile in not only banking, in all industries, any industries, when we are trying to implement agile, there is no single way to scale, right? There is no single way to scale agile. There is no single definition of it. There is no single way of defining. Okay, this is what agile for this organization. We have to mix up. We have to go with the hybrid way of doing all those. So we need to define what exactly we are trying to do and how we are trying to do, what are all the challenges we are anticipating, and everything we need to identify. Then the building blocks, derive the building blocks, and come up with the roadmap, how we can start and where we can end. So all this will be covered at the time of your roadmap and when you are planning well. Okay. So agile is a buzzword. Whether it is a buzzword, it's not just about the software development. Agile is all about the conversation. It's all about the feedback. It's all about the adjustments, and innovation. When we talk about the adjustment, it is like iteration, right? Responding to changes. When we talk about the feedback, it is a customer collaboration. When we talk about conversation, that is individual and interaction, and all these are. It's not a buzzword. It's not just simply as a buzzword we can throw. Okay, agile is a buzzword, and the organization are trying to implement. So there are a lot of factors behind that. We are bringing up all the agile principles and all agile culture, agile mindset. So whatever the agile is talking about is going to be implemented in the organization, that too in the banking, and how we are going to implement. Just we can talk about all those. When we say agile in banking, nowadays you can see the new world of banking started, right? Few years before and how the bank was running, and right now how the banking are running. The banking world, the entire banking industry, how the approach and how they are serving the customer, how they are transforming, whether they are transforming digitally or whether they are transforming on functional wise or agile way of doing the work, and how the customers are focused. So all these are within the agile. When we implement the agile in banking, we have to think of how the new world of banking is working and how the digitally all the products are transformed, how the customer centrism is focused. Okay, so these are the three important points. And when we are talking about agile in banking, so the agile approach, which is allowing the bank to build a new culture and restructuring the organization, right? What exactly available right now, the culture, and how we are transforming the culture to the new culture, and the restructuring the organization. Restructure, it means that when we are talking about the hierarchy and when we are talking about the organizational construct and the way we are constructing the organization, and that too in the banking, and it's going to be DNA of that bank, right? It's more towards the customer centrism, how they are engaging the customers and how they are allowing the customers to interact with the bank. So this is about solving the challenges and pain points in the customer journey. Okay, it's not that immediately we can implement everything at once. So when we start the agile transformation, it means that 100% all the process has to be changed, all the culture has to be changed, all the structuring has to be changed. Is it so? No, it's like a small and incremental way. It's a scaling, right? Small scale. Just take one small initiative and build those small group or small team or small portfolio side or small program side. Try with that. Then identify all the challenges and solve those challenges and address those pain points. Then accordingly you can do step by step. It is like incrementally we have to focus on the transformation. So there are companies where the transformation is by using the consultants they are doing it. Suppose when we say McKinsey is telling that agility is the most important means of implementation for digital transformation. When you talk about the digital transformation, agile transformation going to be parallel, right? So this is what the McKinsey is talking about. It's going to increase product development speed. There are some people asking about what is the benefit out of agile implementation. Already we are doing good. The bank is doing literally well, and what is the benefit out of it? When we implement agile methodologies, what is the benefit out of it? So, McKinsey point of view, it's about development speed has to be increased and decision efficiency by 5 times. It means that 5x, right? Suppose when we talk about speed to market or speed to value, it's increased by 5x. So this is what the McKinsey is talking about. The other one, the Stephanie is talking about the digital revolution continues because nowadays we have multiple channels, omni-channels, mobile, by using mobile, we are doing the banking and desktop, online, and all the ways. It's not like the olden days, right? So nowadays the banking is simplified, the revolution is happening. So more and more revolution happens, the old legacy system will be replaced. What may be the mainframe or the old way of working and the old way of the legacy system has to be replaced by new platform. Nowadays we are talking about the microservices and service oriented architecture and the digital products and the digital media and the social media, and wherever we are going, and the technology improvement is there and the technology adaptation, that too for the bank. So the revolution is continuing, right? So the opportunity to try agile method is booming up. The options are more. So to stay competitive, the financial institution like banking have to definitely adapt the project management principles from agile and the data flows that software development companies use. So this is what all about the agile banking. That is from the different perspective, right? McKinsey is talking about one thing, and Stephanie is also talking about the digital revolution. So the normally the new world of banking requires agile transformation. Digital transformation always parallelly travel with agile and the customer centrism. That is customer focused journey, customer journey. All these are happening within this agile world. So when we talk about the banking, it's like agile banking, nothing, it's nothing but agile banking. So new world of banking, it means ever changing market requirements, right? And the customer preferences. Nowadays, the banking customers are preferring a lot of things. uh, for an example, we can say a Paytm and GPay, all the transactions. Suppose when you apply for any bank loan, personal loan, or when you do some transfer, IMPS, whatever, the requirements are different and the preference also be different, right? The customers are focused on fast solution for each and every banking transaction. The market requirements are more, so every day it's getting changed. So we have to address all those things, the customer point of view. Then the traditional way of doing the banking, going to the bank and apply for some loans and getting the loans from the bank itself, we have to go and verify. There are a lot of processes are eliminated and there are a lot of improvement on that. So the way the world of banking is now changing. So we have to adapt to that. For doing that, how the agile is going to help? What are the building blocks for those kind of approach? So this is the new world of banking where agile is going to play a vital role for that. Then digital transformation. When it comes to the digitally the products are evolving. Why we are going for the digital transformation? This is to improve the efficiency of the system and bringing the value to the customer and implementing the innovation, right? So reimagining the customer journey. Suppose when we talk about the customer journey, uh, all the banks are having customer journey kind of things, right? So customer engagement, how they are engaging the customer and how they are helpful for the customer at the speed. So that is what all about the customer engagement and the customer centrism as well. Digitally, how we are going to help to improve the efficiency or value or innovating the any solution. So digital transformation, for doing the digital transformation, agile is the pillar. Without agile, you cannot produce a digitally effective, valuable product because cost, we know that time, cost, and efficiency, all the scope, right? When the scope is fixed, time is fixed, cost is fixed, there is no point of agile implementation. But when we are talking about the customer, customers are going to get interact with the product, then and there they are going to give feedback to the feedback. Based on that we are evolving. So in that case, the digital transformation really and definitely need agile. The agile is a pillar for any digital product. So that is what all about the digital transformation. When we are talking about the new world of banking, digital transformation is one as one rail, and the customer centrism is other one part. So we cannot avoid all these two things. So the customer, when we talk about the customer, really the bank needs to understand the customers and who are all the customers and how their interest towards the bank and what they value the bank, how the bank drives them. So all these things needs to be considering when we are moving to the agile way of working. So why we are talking about all these things are the new world of banking, how it is working, and the digital transformation means how the digitally the bank is adapting the technologies and the customer centrism. That is the customer journey, how the customer's journey is taken care by the bank. So all these are very much important for any banking system. So when we talk about all the drivers which is driving the transformation, okay, we can consider any industry. It's not only for banks, even for any drivers which is affecting or influencing the transformation. Agile transformation.
Sridhar, we are unable to hear you. Sridhar, can you talk? Please put
Yeah,
your
yes.
mic. Yes, you can share your screen. Go ahead.
I don't know what happened. Okay, for any agile transformation, we can say there are external drivers and internal drivers. There are challenges based on that, right? When it comes to banking, definitely the external drivers are the governments and regulators, that is the regulation. Second, what are the other external drivers? The digital technology. Suppose when we talk about the bank, it's huge volume of data, right? So the data science and cyber security and cyber attacks. So all these digital technology side, these are all the external factors going to affect on the agile transformation and how we are approaching any digital technology. So the transformation has to consider all those things. Regulation we have to consider, digital technology we have to consider, then the public and the clients or customers. So every customer, their higher expectation, right? The ethical transaction. So they want a secure and ethical transaction always. Then finally the competitors. So any other bank, whenever they are providing the products and other fintechs, so they are all the competitors. So during the transformation, we have to consider the external drivers, the regulation, digital technology, public and clients, and competitor. We cannot avoid all those. For an example, when you are doing your IMPS, even if it is for 100 rupees, that 100 rupees IMPS has to follow all the government rules and regulations and your digital technology. So the secure way of doing the transaction, if there are any cyber attacks, we have to protect and we have to safeguard the transaction. And as a customer, I have to expect it should be a ethical transaction. So how fast I can do it. So these are all from where I have to do it, my mobile or online or directly at bank. So I need to consider all those when we create any product at bank side, if it is IMPS or TGS or NFTS or fast payment or any kind of things. It all these are things needs to be considered and while creating a product. So these are all the external drivers we have to obey for that. And during the transformation, and we have to consider how we have to take it consideration while bringing up the teams, while bringing up the organizational structure. So everything has to be aligned with all the external drivers. Same like when it comes to the internal drivers, agile enablers. What is actually enablers? The organizational structure and the process and technology. All these are the agile enablers, right? The employee factors. The employee factors like how we are bringing up the environment to the employees and how we are empowering the teams. So all these are the employee factors. Then agile capabilities. The capabilities, it means that all the banking employees or the people who is working for the IT and software side, whether they are adapt to change, whether they're ready to change or not. What is their competence level? Whether they're ready to learn or not. Are they ready for cooperation? So all these capabilities we have to understand. So these are all the internal drivers. So enablers, how we are structuring or how we are processing and how the technology is implemented and all the employees factor we have to consider and the capabilities we have to consider. Then agile practices. Agile empowering the teams and empowerment given to the employees and the customer engagement, the customer enrichment, all these things are the internal drivers. So every internal drivers has its own challenges and all the pain points. So as much as possible, we have to identify those challenges. We have to address those challenges when we go for the agile transformation. So the outcome from all this, sensing the outcome and responding to the changes and responding to the outcome, right? So that is what very much important. So external drivers and internal drivers, all these are like we have to consider one when we are doing the agile transformation side. The DNA of agile in banking, right? So that is definitely the structure, organizational structure. So how the teams are constructed, how the organizations are constructed. So based on that, how the entire de-hierarchization has been happened, right? So the team has no hierarchy, and teams are like all the kind of things, right? So in this case, we have to identify how these things are happening within the organization and within the bank. Spotify model, we can say the tribe, squads, all these are structured. Same like when it comes to the banking side, the top level management, middle level management, lower management, and squad level, which has the developer, testers, and the BAs and everybody, right? So the way we are constructing the bank, organizational wise, that is going to be a major role for the transformation side. So when it comes to the product group, so there are a lot of requirement to the bank side, but when it comes to the product group, we have to create a product management group to invest in which has the business value and which is has the lesser business value. So all the deliveries has to be identified, prioritized by the product management group. The first thing is organizational structure. Second, the management, product management group, product management forum. So based on that, we have to bring up the DNA for the Agile bank. Same like the metrics. Define the metrics, measure the metrics, act accordingly. So all these are important. Then finally, the ways of working. New ways of working. Nowadays, it's a ways of working, right? So digitizing the group, how the team is getting the things done, how they are transforming the way of working. So all these are very much important for the team side as well to the organizational side and the leadership side. So the Agile Bank DNA is always talking about the organizational structure and the product group, metrics, and ways of working. So all these are very much important when we are talking about the DNA for the bank. So why we are talking about the DNA? Because it has to sustain and it has to ability to sustain and as well ability to the regrowth also, right? So that is the reason whenever we are creating a good organization structure with the very good product management group and metrics which is manageable and measurable and reactable. So that way we have to create the metrics. Then finally the ways of working, how the teams are going to work, what are the facilities given to the team, how they are enabled, how they are empowered for transforming the ways of working by the way of giving the output results, right? So these are all very much important for any DNA side for the banking side. And building blocks. What are the building blocks for the agile transformation? So the people with the agile mindset and agile culture, right? So though it is going to be a team or middle level management or top level management or senior management, whoever it is, the people top down approach or bottom up approach. But when it comes to the top down approach, we have to think how the transformation is happening from top to bottom. Definitely each and every one of the transformation inside the transformation, the people has to be with agile mindset and agile culture, right? The culture nothing but the growing culture, how they are transformed and how they are transparently talking about all the items, whatever the problems on the whatever the pain points, everything has to be transparently available to top level to bottom level, right? There is no level of management. Everybody has to be in the same page of transparency. The top level management has to be same level of transparency with the lower at the bottom ground level also. So the transparency at all level has to be same way of doing, right? So that is what one of the important thing for the building blocks. And second, the process to eliminate data silos. Suppose when we are defining the agile process, it has to eliminate the data silos, right? Some people are working and some people are doing some kind of aspect because bank is something where we have n number of systems. It's not going to be with one single system or single application. We have the downstream, we have the upstream, we have the middleware, right? So all these cases, each and every process within that the upstream or downstream or middleware, there are some where there are some places where the people are hiding the data. So we have to eliminate all those and we have to process to eliminate the data silos. We have to bring up the transparency across the system. We have to bring up the transparency across the partner teams. We have to bring up the transparency with dependent systems everywhere. So we had to identify how we can bring it up. So we had to identify the process and we had to implement and we had to practice those things. That is the information flow transparency. As I said, it is going to be like top level management and till the ground level, same level of transparency is important. It is not that one layer of people will see, look at some information, and other layer of people will look at some information. All the information has to be flow transparently. So all the metrics, whenever you are having the metrics that is related to the productivity, if it is related to the efficiency, it has to be transparent to each and everyone, top to bottom, right? Then the technology adaptation. Without technology, by example, implementing the DevOps or digital products. So, by whenever we are talking about the digital product, the technical agility is important as well. The business along with business agility. It's not only that business agility, the technical agility. How we can adapt, how the technology is going to help the product, and how the technology is going to help the envisioning the customer needs. So all these are important. So the new technologies are coming up, and we have to adapt to those new kind of technologies, and it's almost like a digital transformation. So the bank has to go for the digital transformation. That is very much important. So all these are the four building blocks for the transformation. It is not only for banking; it is also for any other industry level. Whenever we talk about the any other industry, definitely the people mindset is important, culture is important, and eliminating the process, unnecessary process or data silos, we have to eliminate, and transparency across all level of people, that is important, and adapting to the new technology, new digital transformation. So all these are definitely the building blocks for any agile transformation. Then coming to the final one, that is the roadmap. So whenever you are creating an agile transformation roadmap, you have to think of where we are now and what we are focusing. But one thing here, agile is a journey, right? Agile is a journey and it is iterative. Scaling is important. So what currently we have, after some time, where we are trying to do, and we have to define a common goal and vision. Are you going to improve the efficiency of the team? Are we going to improve the customer value or business value to the customers? And are we focusing on speed to market? Whenever any product or outcome, are we focusing on the speed to market, or how fast we can reach the market? What is our goal? So we have to define the common goal for that when we are defining the transformation. Then where we are standing now, where will be after 90 days, where will be after 180 days, where will be after 1 year. So likewise, we have to create our initiatives, and we have to focus on that, and we have to sustain, and we have to accelerate all those. If the changes are implemented successfully, then we can go ahead and we can iterate positively. If the changes are done negatively, we have to identify, we have to retrospect what happened, why it was not happen. So to happen, what we need to do, all these things needs to be identified. So for doing all those, whenever you are creating the roadmap, the first item is the leadership coalition. So definitely we need to go ahead with the leadership side. Then strategic vision and the initiative. Create multiple small initiative and bring up those initiative. Create the volunteer army, that is agile volunteers. So okay, this is the initiative we are going to do. For an example, there is an initiative which is focusing on rtgs. The rtgs implementation has to be within 90 days. So in this case, how we can bring up, and how we can bring up the customer engagement and the customer value within 90 days or within 180 days, and how we can go ahead with that. So create people where they can think of the product management side as well the technology side and as well the transformation side. So group together and initialize that initiative. What we can able to do for next 90 days, how fast we can reach the market. So based on that, create your 90 days plan and go ahead with the 90 days plan. If it is successful, then sustain, sustain that. Same way, you can go ahead with other initiatives. So step by step, it's not that at a stretch you have to do all those. So create a lot of initiative, go with initiative by initiative, create a short-term plan and a mid-term plan and long-term plan. First start with the short-term plan identify what are the challenges, identify the pain points, and go ahead with implementing the successful way of doing that, right? So sustain that and ensure the change permanently. So create your roadmap accordingly. And scaling. Finally, the scaling. The We know that agile in banking, we have a lot of portfolios. It's not that only one single system or one single application going to serve for banking. There are a lot of applications, lot of systems, and many departments, and each and everybody is working on something on their own way. So it is not that agile is same way we can influence for all other portfolios, all other departments, right? So in this case, we have to think of the scaling, how the partner teams going to engage with agile teams, and how the dependencies are handled, and how we can create an integrated team. Like, suppose whenever we are creating the teams, we know that the cross-functional teams is important, multi-skilled people required, and the team can able to visualize the requirement, and they can produce the results. It is not that they can depend on somebody else for doing the work. So the team has to empowered to do the job. The team has empowered to create the solution. So the enrichment as well, the cross-skilled, cross-functional is required whenever we create a team. Same like there are multiple teams are involved whenever we have any solution, right? So there are teams depends on one another. So in this case, how we can scale? So your transformation roadmap has to have the scaling aspect also. How the integrated teams are going to be formed, how the dependency are addressed, how downstream, upstream, middle are getting related, how we can bring up 90 days backlog, how the product backlogs are created, how we can bring up the quarterly meeting, half yearly meeting, and annual meeting, and how it is going to impact on the Scrum teams. So all these are has to be at the agile at scale side, right? So measuring the key performance indicator, like for the Scrum team, definitely we know velocity, commitment, reliability, and all the lead time and cycle time. All these are measured at the team level. Same like you have to explain how we can measure at portfolio level and the bigger portfolio level as an organizational level. So bring up all the metrics. The productivity effectiveness is important, right? Everybody is revolving around the money and business and ROI. So in this case, after implementing the agile, while the transformation is happening, how you are going to measure your metrics and manageable metrics. You have to manage those metrics. You have to identify the challenges you have to address. So all these are very much important when you are doing this agile transformation. So that's all from me now. Sorry for in between some glitches happened. Now we can go ahead with the questionnaires if you have any
Good
questions.
evening. Any questions for the Srinath? Can you please put in the chat box? No.
Yeah, any
And also,
transformation questions or anything, and definitely will come.
yes, yes. Please go ahead and type in chat box, and Sridhar will answer.
I think there is no question.
There is no questions from the participants. I
Yeah.
think we'll wait for 2 minutes.
It's not only for banking side and as well for any industry. Whenever we talk about agile transformation, all the buzzwords when you hit the teams and when you are talking to your leadership team, so what is the benefit out of agile transformation? How do you show? How do you progress? What if fails? So all the questions will come, right? So whenever you are creating your roadmap, you have to address with your common goal and vision, definitely. If your productivity, are you planning to increase 15 percentage, and you have to show, okay, last year this was happened, and by increasing 15 percentage productivity, we have reached this much. So likewise, you have to give the efficiency out of the transformation.
Sridhar, I think there are no questions from the participants. Yes, there's a question is there. How did you find that true agile mindset being used differently in banking versus pure software company? This is a question from.
Yeah, really good question actually. The software development company and banking. The banking works on banking sector side, right? They are not the software development companies. So, but the people who design the software for the banks are from the software companies. So when we talk about agile mindset, there are two different aspects. The people working for the software companies are having some kind of mindset. The people working for the bank, that is totally different mindset. So we have to identify whenever we are implementing agile in banking, it's totally different. Are we going to follow the same kind of approach as same as in the software industry? Are we going to follow? Because the people are traditional way of doing the business, right? So in banking, definitely the traditional and the legacy systems are there, the traditional mindsets are there. So the way we are identifying the true agile mindset, it's really a tough job and difficult to implement immediately. So what we have to do is take small portion or small piece of initiative, try with that first. You don't try to implement all at once. So it's not going to happen at a day. It's going to take years and years. Maybe normally 3 to 4 years, 3 to 5 years. Some banks are happening in agile transformation of 3 to 5 years. Same like you had to identify, you had to bring up the mindset slowly, and by creating the value to that initiative. Create an initiative, try to implement that small initiative, bring the result to that, the mindset definitely going to get changed. It's not that the traditional way is not eliminated, or whenever you are bringing the research, whenever you are bringing and convincing the management side and convincing the leadership side. So the true agile mindset definitely not lesser than the software companies. The software companies or banking, wherever, the agile mindset definitely going to hit at maximum in banking also. Thank you, Saudami.
Any other questions? Second query. Can Agile be applied in banking only for digitalization division and software teams in the bank you are in other divisions as well?
Yeah, one more good question. Definitely, banks are having HR, financial, operational, and digitalization. So there are a lot of portfolios. So each and every portfolio works on its own way. So there are different way of working and different style of working, different challenges they are facing. It's not that we cannot implement in all places. The agile transformation is focusing on the entire organization. It's not only that the IT division. IT, we have technology and innovation division. As well, we have HR, we have finance, we have operation. There are a lot of divisions and there are a lot of portfolios. So the entire organization has to be transformed. It is applied the entire banking. It's not only that one place. It's for the entire banking. Then other one question, what are the problems that we face in implementing DevOps in agile way in banking sector with the software?
With software team.
Uh, yeah, it's not that DevOps implementation in banking, because it's automation, right? We are talking about the efficiency. Whenever we talk about the efficiency, definitely we have to go along with the digital transformation and empowering the team to produce productivity way of doing the work, like DevOps. Whenever you talk about the CI/CD pipeline, and whenever you talk about the Jira, Confluence, all the tooling, and your container and the Java, .NET, uh, all the blockchain, all the technology side, the DevOps side, it has to be implemented within the bank, and it has to be implemented within the software division of the teams. It's going to help them a lot. it has to produce the automation point of view. You can bring up a lot of productivity. You can increase your productivity. Then what challenges can we face in transformation? Yeah, as I said, the challenges are like from external driver and internal driver. Both the challenges we have. So external driver, as I said, the government side, regulation side, and people expectation, your, I mean, the security point of view. So all these are the external side, and same like internal drivers, like your agile mindset, agile culture, how the people are practicing, and how we are empowering the team. What are the employee factors? All these are the internal drivers. So the challenges always classified in two ways: how the external drivers are impacting and your internal drivers are impacting on the agile transformation side.
One more question. Abhinay Roy is asking, can you please share the challenge slide and what challenges can you face in transformation? Can you?
Yeah, this is the external drivers, right? Whenever we talk about the digital transformation, the data science, yes, we have to upload up to date, we have to be, and the cyber security, yes, we have to adhere to that. Cyber attacks, yes, we have to consider. Same like the higher expectation from the clients or customer or public, right? Then when we compete with other banks, we have to be stay one step ahead. So these are all the external drivers. As I said, the internal drivers, the enablers. The enablers itself is a challenge for us. That is the organization structure. When you are creating a new culture, without creating the new culture and a new strict, structure, you cannot bring up the agile transformation. And you have to bring up the process, and you have to bring up the new technology side. So all these are the agile enablers. Without that enablers, you cannot bring up successful transformation. And the capabilities, whether the teams or leadership or adapt to change or not, whether the teams are having the competence or not, ready to learning or not. If any capabilities are missing, that is also going to be a challenge. Then practice, definitely, the practices are very much important. Outcome. Suppose when we talk about the outcome, how we are sensing this outcome, whether positive or negative, how we are sensing and how we are responding. So these are all the challenges internally and externally. So we have to define our roadmap along with this. We have to proactively do all the, I mean, addressing the pain points and challenges.
Questions?
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Any other questions before closing the session? Do you have any questions? Please, Sridhar is available for another 5 minutes.
Yeah. Sorry, I started. I mean, starting trouble with that slide and as well with.
It happens, Sridhar. It happens sometimes. The glitches happens. Any other questions, participants? Like any other questions? Please let us know. Sridhar is available. And thank you, Sridhar. And I think there's no other questions. And thank you, Sridhar, for the wonderful insights on the agile banking. And thank you for the wonderful session. And also, please, participants, please go ahead and submit the polls so that it helps a lot to see that you know. So
Thank you.
polls are open. So do you have any questions to the Sridhar? Do you have any questions to them?
Yeah, nothing. Thank you, team, and thank you for joining. And have a wonderful evening. And hope you enjoying your other sessions too. Thanks, Ajay. Thanks for your support.
Thank you. Thank you.